Hey, Paladin. I was just curious. Now that we're friends and all, what was your oath that you swore? Just if you can share.
Of course, friend cleric, I would be happy to share my oath. I have sworn to uphold righteousness, defend the innocent, promote the general good, and of course, to harm no living thing.
What? What was that last one?
Why, to harm no living thing, of course. That's why I am more or less a vegetarian.
Okay, putting a pin in the whole vegetables aren't living thing for a second. What about the 12 bandits that you gutted like fish half an hour ago while laughing maniacally?
No, I see that this is a communication issue, a translation between our cultures. We define life slightly differently than your culture does, and I believe in your culture, you would consider a thing alive if it has a metabolism, if it consumes something to turn it into energy. However, if you think about it, our friend the artificer's steam engine would count as alive under that definition. It consumes coal, it produces work, but an angel from the high heavens would not count as alive under that definition because it needs no nourishment other than its own devotion.
Okay, I'm following you so far. What does your culture consider life?
Well, there's a checklist. It gets a little bit legalistic. First of all, it must be mobile and animate. That is why plants are fair game to eat. That's why I'm a vegetarian and not a nothingitarian. That would be hard. Second of all, it must be sentient. Not necessarily sapient, but it must at least be aware of the world around it and able to respond to it.
Huh, that's very different and interesting, but I think I'm following. Is there anything else?
Yes, and it must be free of sin, or it's not alive anymore.
Free of sin. What?
Yes, any creature capable of understanding good and evil and choosing between them, that chooses evil at any point in their life, has given up the privileges of being alive.
Your paladin order is making a lot more sense all of a sudden.
Therefore, those bandits, they have chosen evil at some point in their life, and they have given up the privileges of being alive. I am not one to judge. They have judged themselves. I merely carry out the sentence.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Were there any other questions about my oath?
Just so I got it right. So, you wouldn't eat a cow or a pig because they are smart enough to be alive, but
dumb enough to stay alive. That is correct. It would be wrong to eat a harmless animal like that.
And earlier when you said you were more or less a vegetarian because it's wrong to harm animals.
That is correct. It is unconscionable to harm an animal that does not know good nor evil.
But an animal that does understand good and evil could... Oh. Oh no. Oh. Isn't that like unhygienic? Isn't there like Kuru and prion diseases?
I'm a paladin. I'm immune to all disease. Let's stop talking about this now.